For this project, our team was instructed to find a way technology could assist with learning. In order to pick our target population, we wrote out some of the areas we felt were underrepresented in the design field. This process helped us identify areas that were not only interesting, but we perceived to have an opportunity to design a product or system to aid in learning. Our selected user group was senior citizens, specifically ages 65 and above. Our target population has a story to tell. Their stories can inform future generations about what it was like to live through major events or time periods. The problem is, this group is often unsure of how to tell their story, or if people want to hear them. After a short series of informal interviews with family and friends in this demographic, we began our ideation process based on the user requirements we generated. For this project, we identified as many unique ideas as possible in a very short time. After sorting and grouping these ideas, we evaluated them based on whether or not they were possible and met the needs of our users. We then took the merits of these top-rated ideas and created a series of concepts. The top 3 concepts were designed to meet the primary objectives of helping our users tell their story in a more cohesive way, and then share it with family and friends. The top 2 ways we identified to help our users accomplish this were by giving them prompts to tell a more cohesive story and allowing them to tell a story focused on an object. Concept A is the story box. Using the natural analog of a decorative box for keepsakes, we developed a system that allows the user to place an object in the box. The box would then take a picture or scan the item, and then allow the user to tell a story about that item. Future generations would then be able to replay that story. Concept B is the timeline. Envisioned as a back-end system paired with an easy-to-use front end, the timeline allows the user to tell a story and then using some simple metadata log that story on the timeline. These stories would then be sortable so that viewers of the content can interact in a meaningful way. Concept C is the story stick. Using the analogs of a talking stick and campfire stories, this concept involved a communal event. Users would record a story together and pass the stick between themselves, each taking a turn to tell a story. The story box concept uses a natural analog for memories, but it is a stationary object. The timeline concept has a good way to categorize stories, but would be completely foreign to our users. The story sticks involves a group, but not everyone identifies with the stick or campfire metaphors. Using a new metaphor, the storybook addresses these concerns. It's portable, and almost everyone can identify with it from their childhood or raising children of their own. To test the idea of a digital storybook, we created a system that uses simple controls and limited options. Our high-fidelity prototype employed an iPad mini running our program. We placed this system inside a hollowed-out journal. The buttons you see here were non-functional. Instead, we used a Wizard of Oz style system where we were able to push out live updates to the software over Wi-Fi. To the user, it appeared that features such as the buttons and speech recognition were actually working. The users are initially greeted by the home screen. They are then invited to name their story using the built-in microphone and speech recognition. If the title worked correctly, they press the top button to continue. If not, they press the middle button to try again. Next, they select a picture to tell a story about. If they want, they can take their own using the built-in camera. Now they are ready to tell their story. The item they are telling the story about appears. The image of the video being recorded displays in the top right to help ensure that they are aligned with the camera. The software would make recommendations about key things to talk about, such as where the object was obtained or how old they were when the story took place. It uses natural language processing to make prompts specific to the story the user is telling. This keeps the user focused. In later testing, we found that users incorporated the questions asked in their stories seamlessly. When the user is done, they tap the Finished button. They can then review their story or return to the home screen. The story is then automatically saved and shared to the cloud to be accessed by family members or shared with friends. With our high-fidelity prototype ready to go, we brought our system to some potential users at a local retirement home. By testing with real users, we were able to identify what worked and what didn't with our system. Most of our participants could see themselves using this system. Several even asked when the device would be ready for sale. User testing also revealed some areas for improvement. Some users had issues with color identification due to color blindness or degrading eyesight. They recommended using shapes or some kind of texture on the buttons to help them make the connection to what was displayed on the screen. Surprisingly, many of our users would like the system to employ a touchscreen. Initially, we had thought that this demographic would not have had the experience with such devices and would prefer a physical interface modality. Some still prefer the buttons over the touchscreen only device, so this raises the possibility of having a dual input device or two separate devices to match the user's preferences. Overall, our design was well received. This project gave us an opportunity to conduct user testing with a diverse population. Using design to help this demographic learn how to tell a better story will allow them to leave a legacy for generations to come. The Family Storybook project was developed at the Georgia Institute of Technology. Group members include Ian Wilson, Daniel Machado, Timothy Major, and Blake Williford.